Time magazine's breastfeeding cover is one of the most controversial covers of 2012. The question is, should the cover have been published or not? To help answer the question, we will turn to the Potter Box for the assist. The Potter Box is an ethical framework used to make decisions by utilizing 4 categories which Potter identifies as universal to all ethical dilemmas. Potter was a theologian when he developed this moral reasoning framework. The Potter Box uses 4 dimensions of moral analysis to help in situations where ethical dilemmas occur: facts, values, principles, and loyalties. Let's start with the facts. In May of 2012, Time magazine released a cover of a 26-year-old woman breastfeeding her 3-year-old son. This cover sparked debates about just how public breastfeeding should be. Time has shown breasts in its covers in the past, but not in the way presented on the May cover. Which brings us to the values. We live in a society that stigmatizes sex, and as a result, some argue that this should have been censored. Along the same line of thinking comes the argument for a more age-appropriate example, such as an older woman or a younger child. The opposition argues that this is a real issue, a natural occurrence, and that it should be displayed as such. A natural practice should not turn people off enough to have the act be censored altogether. At the expense of discomfort for some, the practice of what is necessary for many women should be expressed openly, as it has become apparent that breastfeeding is more beneficial than formulas. Treating people as the ends means that stigmatization should be avoided when it targets a group of people. Last but not least, it's all about the loyalties. Time magazine's loyalties are to its readers, and should represent the truth of what happens. Breastfeeding happens, and the representation of that was on the cover. Representatives of Time magazine were cited as wanting to portray a current issue in our society, even at the expense of discomfort, which is an ideal of journalism.
Dr. Sears is the man who is interviewed in this article. He's a doctor, a regular pediatrician. So one of the parts about human beings is that they're supposed to be breastfed. And he's the one that kind of brought the attachment parenting to the forefront, where people used to smack their kids or, leave them in a room to cry it out. And his whole philosophy is that, you don't do that to children. If you do, then you create more problems because, it's just like, if a child is crying, that's the way they're communicating to you. So I went looking for the Time magazine, couldn't find it. I went to the drugstore and I called there and said, do you have that Time magazine with the child breastfeeding on it, because I was tired of driving around. And she says, no, we don't have that one. She explained what cover they had. And so I said, no, it's the one, you would know what it is, because it's kind of controversial. I said, it's the one with the toddler breastfeeding on it. And the woman there said to me, she goes, well, that's just disgusting. She goes, people who do that, she goes, there's something wrong with them. And I'm like, well, guess. So now I wasn't really ready to debate with her, as far as that goes. I was just looking to see. I said, well, I'm calling to see about the magazine, but obviously it does bring up some issues that people have about that. And I said, and by the way, I'm probably one of those crazy weirdos, because she said, whoever does that are weirdo. And I said, well, just so you know, I'm one of those weirdos. And I says, and as you working there, you really should have just answered whether you had it or not. So my point of that is that this has brought up a lot of dialogue, like a lot of people have really strong opinions about it.
Absolutely.
One way or the other.
I think a lot of people find it ethically wrong to breastfeed in public, and then past a certain age, it's just such a touchy subject that it makes someone, as me, as you know, was breastfed up until what age? You know my mother. I was breastfed until the age of, 2?
Yeah,
something
probably.
like that.
Yeah.
I almost feel weird and ashamed to kind of go out and talk about it and even say this right now, that I was breastfed until the age of 2, because it's such a touchy subject. People find it repulsive, but it's nothing wrong with it.
But if you were fed artificial food, the formula, I don't like to call it formula because it makes it sound like they have a formula for it. And that's the whole reason why extended breastfeeding is good for you even past 2 years old, because it changes according to the needs of the baby. If you have a premature baby, your mom's breast milk is going to have more fat in it. If you're born in a certain area, that breast milk is going to have different components in it. Your mom's breast milk when you were 2 weeks old versus 2 months old versus 2 years old has different components of what you needed. There's an extended breastfeeding fact sheet, and it will say like all the benefits that, American Academy of Pediatrics even says, that comes out and says that nursing past 2 years old is healthy. World Health Organization is really behind that, the WHO organization. The WHO organization even says that breast milk is the optimal food. Second would be donated breast milk. And third is artificial food. So it's even third on the list, World Health Organization. So, it's just better all around. Nothing has been proven any different. There's been so many studies.
If it's so natural and right to breastfeed, how did it become such a taboo topic?
I think culturally, breastfeeding in public is not really widespread here. Mm-hmm. So it's not the norm. You don't see, other people in your family being breastfed. You're not growing up seeing it. It's hidden more. So right there, that's sexualizing the breast more. But in other cultures, breasts aren't so much sexual. So you'll see it more. And that's even if you look at some of the pictures of extended breastfeeding or breastfeeding in public, they're pictures of third world countries and, and it's not even a positive. If you look at pictures of women breastfeeding in public, usually they're like hippie moms, or they're not portrayed as, together. When you see a picture of a mom with a bottle, you'll see her with the bottle and she's got her makeup on nice and she's pretty and she's model looking. The bottom line is that breastfeeding is not just about feeding your child. It's also about nurturing a child. It's about the closeness. It's the bond. It's about the food, but it's also about the comfort and them feeling secure and feeling, loved. Breastfeeding, you have to spend time with your child. So it's about spending time with your child more, and our society doesn't support that as much.
It's Saturday afternoon in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, and this woman heads to a local cafe to relax with her baby. She orders a coffee and then starts to breastfeed. This maternal act, however, does not sit well with Tom, the cafe manager.
Oh, God! Whoa, excuse me, could you please do that somewhere else?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, if you could, I don't want to be rude about it, but if you could please, geez, I'm trying to run a restaurant here.
As you've probably guessed, the manager and our nursing mother, Tracy, are both actors. Tracy's baby, it's actually a doll. We wanted to see what customers will do when the manager tells Tracy that breastfeeding is not allowed at his cafe.
Yeah, seriously, whipping out your Hooters here in front of the whole restaurant here?
My Hooters? I'm feeding my baby. Do you mind?
I'm trying to...
Actually, our first couple of the day does mind.
I get 2 small kids. I wouldn't let them possible.
Right? Exactly. This lady has class. Why can't you have some class like this lady over here?
No
Look at that guy.
class?
He is uncomfortable. He can't make eye contact with you.
Because you're loud.
Well, it doesn't offend me, but it's definitely going to make me uncomfortable.
She could feed it somewhere else. Feed it at home.
Actually, what you're telling her is against the law.
What do you mean it's against the law?
Yes, against the it is a law that you can breastfeed your child in public anywhere you want to.
She's right. In every state besides Idaho, Nebraska, and West Virginia, it's legal for a woman to nurse her baby wherever and whenever she wants. Still, acts of hostility against public breastfeeding are often in the news.
A Burlington mom just wanted to breastfeed. The store told her, take it to the restroom, lady.
Julia Taylor, a real-life mom, encountered that kind of hostility when she says she was ordered to stop breastfeeding her daughter in a New York City cafe.
And I wouldn't stop. So then she said, I want you to leave. Leave right now.
What were you thinking?
I was nervous. My heart was racing. I couldn't believe that this was happening.
Taylor did leave, and she's now suing that cafe.
I don't really want to be working and seeing her boobs, all right? This is
Back
really...
in Brooklyn, our manager continues to harass our breastfeeding mom.
I want to have other customers here, too.
I paid, though. I paid for something.
Exactly, you know what? And if you want to put milk in everyone else's coffee, that's fine.
You're crossing the line here, sir. She got the point. Stop.
Most customers reacted just like these women. But what if our mom is African American? After all, we're taping in a neighborhood in which 78% of the people are white. To find out, we hire another actress, Bianca.
Maybe if we set the bathroom up for you or something?
Set the bathroom up?
Yeah, I don't want to be seeing your jugs at work, all right?
Jugs? These are breasts. I cannot believe you.
Nor could some other customers believe what they were hearing.
Sir, is this making you uncomfortable?
The conversation is.
And how about this UPS guy?
Sir, do you see, does this bother you? No, no. Would you want to buy food here?
Thank you.
That's normal. You can't talk like that. That's normal.
Thank you.
And listen to the support from this grandmother.
But it doesn't turn me off to say baby breastfeeding the baby. It's nothing wrong.
Remember Julia Taylor, who was kicked out of a cafe for breastfeeding her baby? Well, we went back to that cafe and spoke to the owner. He said his manager had made a mistake, that it was all just a horrible misunderstanding, and that breastfeeders are always welcomed in his cafe.
How it was handled on our end could have been done a lot better. And for that, and for the upset that it caused her, truly, I regret it and I wholeheartedly apologize.
And to those who are offended by breastfeeding in public, what would you tell them?
Go educate yourselves. Stop being so ignorant. Read up on it.
And if it bothers you, look away.
Look away. Don't let. Turn around. Leave the store.